Welcome to the User-Defined Facilities in CDMS video tutorial. In this video, you will learn how to leverage User-Defined Facility or UDF data for use in Hazus and use the Comprehensive Data Management System or CDMS to import UDF data into a statewide dataset. UDF are site-specific data used to supplement or improve the accuracy of the general building stock or GBS inventory data. The GBS uses aggregated data for some categories of buildings and does not incorporate site-specific data for all buildings. So UDF data allows users to create a more detailed analysis and retrieve more accurate results. For the GBS categories that do contain site-specific data, such as essential facilities, you will have the option of editing these directly in the statewide dataset or importing your own list. This video explains only how to import your own list to the UDF database table. It is recommended that you become familiar with the data types described in the Hazus inventory manual to determine when it is best to follow this method for UDF import, or simply edit the existing structures in other database tables. Hazus and CDMS require different fields and attributes for UDF data, depending on the hazard the data will be used with. For example, first floor elevation is an important attribute for a flood scenario, while soil type may be necessary for an earthquake scenario. Note that your UDF data must have values for the area in square feet and occupancy type attributes, but you can find details on the hazard-specific requirements of UDF data in the Hazus documentation accessible via the link in the video description. Before you begin, it is a best practice to create a copy of the original state dataset in your Hazus data/inventory folder. This will ensure that you have a copy of your state dataset in case of any mistakes, overwrites, or losses when you import and update new data. In most versions of Hazus, it is required that you enter all UDF data through CDMS rather than importing data directly into an open study region. Menu options are still available for viewing any updated inventory data in the study region. However, importing your own UDF or updating an existing database must be completed with the UDF data import feature in CDMS. In our example, we will be importing UDF data for Salt Lake County, Utah. To import your data, click the Import into CDMS Repository from File button and click Browse to select your UDF data file. Once you select your file, indicate which hazard-specific attributes are included in the data by clicking the respective checkbox. If you do not select any hazards, CDMS will ignore any of those entries in your source file during import and simply provide default values. Then, use the Inventory Category and Layer drop-downs to select the type of data this file contains. Since these are UDF data, select the User-Defined Facilities option from both the Inventory Category and Inventory Dataset drop-downs. Now that CDMS knows what type of data you will import, click Continue to begin the process of importing the relevant data. First, you will use the Import Table drop-down to select the location of your data. Since we are importing an Excel file, this will choose which tab within the Excel file has the data we'd like to update. Then, use the Select Hazus ID field drop-down to let CDMS know if there are existing Hazus ID records in the statewide dataset for your imported data. Since we are importing new user-defined facilities that don't currently exist in the default Hazus statewide inventory, there aren't any existing Hazus IDs for CDMS to reference. We will select the No Hazus ID option, and CDMS will build those associations for us. Finally, if you are importing an Excel file, you will have to use the lowest two drop-downs to identify the columns that contain the latitude and longitude data for your facilities. For non-Excel files, this will be done automatically. Once that is accomplished, click Continue. Now, CDMS will ask you to match field names between your source data and the destination statewide dataset. To match field names, select the source field name from the source name list, then the corresponding statewide dataset field name from the destination field list, then click Add Match to move the pairing to the bottom of the Field Matches list. Please note that the occupancy type must be defined for all data imports, but that not all fields need to be matched. Please refer to the Hazus user and technical manuals for more information on which fields must be included in a UDF data import. Once all of your desired fields are matched, click Continue, and Hazus will ask you to confirm that all unmatched data fields should be entered into the existing statewide dataset with default values. Click Yes, and Hazus will list the data fields whose source data type you'll need to manually recode in order for a successful import through CDMS. Review the entries and click Continue. Once all of the field name and data type matches are confirmed, Hazus will provide a dialog box confirming that these data have been imported into the CDMS repository. Click OK. The data layer you have just entered is now located in the CDMS repository grid, but it has not been permanently transferred into the state dataset. Click the Transfer to Statewide Dataset button and select Append/Update Data, then click Submit. The layer will transfer from the repository to the state dataset and is now shown in the Statewide Layer Modification History section. After building a study region for the geographic area where you added the UDF, you can view the imported data under Inventory, User-Defined Facilities menu in the Hazus user interface. Congratulations! In this video, you learned how to leverage UDF data for use in Hazus and use CDMS to import UDF data into a statewide dataset. Look for more Hazus video tutorials on the FEMA YouTube channel.